So I have two goals today. My first goal is to explore a pine and hammock ecosystem that was impacted by a fire about a year ago. And after that, I'm planning to go on over to a cypress pond that was also impacted by that same fire and see what I can see. So I'm in a part of the forest that I believe has some of the most downed trees during the last fire. I mean, it's just absolutely littered with these massive oaks and pine trees. But at the same time, there's so many that survived within this area, and the palmettos are all back. They're thriving at this point. The sable palms grew back within less than, I want to say, 3 or 4 months. And even the pine trees who have been through a fire, who've been burnt at the bottom, the bases, they're all doing great as well. So I think what's crazy is even where trees fall down, you kind of create these little micro ecosystems where there's a depression now in the ground. You really see all the soil that was taken up by this tree that fell down from the fire. As we look in to see its roots, I mean, we see ferns growing in here. It's like really, I guess, more wet depression in the ground, but also we have all these animals that are taking advantage of this fallen down tree. And I mean, you can see a burrow right there of who knows what. I'm not going to get too close to find out, but you have all this life taking advantage of this tree that fell down. This tree continues to give to the forest, even in death. I think what's crazy is all the time I see oak trees growing on or next to other trees. And in this example, we see an oak tree that grew quite old after starting on a pine tree. But at this point, that pine tree is dead. He died in the most recent fire. And what's kind of crazy is that you can see where the oak tree grew off of the pine. You can really see how they were living next to each other. And at this point, now he has all this space, which, I'm gonna be honest, I think makes him pretty vulnerable. Sorry you lost your friend, little guy. It's the burnt out remains of just what was a massive oak. Fell down, took out a lot of other plants. At this point, his insides are burnt out. You see greens in there, as well as some spider webs taking advantage of this space. So there's tons of mushrooms already coming in. I think sable palms are pretty fucking cool. Usually they grow just straight up, but occasionally I find them just doing all kinds of wavy things within the forest that really isn't necessary, but I mean, it's cool as hell. This one got burnt with the fire that came through here, and he's doing just fine. All his leaves are back. He has burn marks kind of going up the trunk, but he's doing good. And the moss community that's living on him, as well as all the ferns, they're still here. They're still loving life. Looks like some of the ferns are really dried out with the ongoing drought we have, but throw some water on them, they'll come right back. The sable palmetto literally has berries. Oh my goodness. Have a little baby sable palmettos with this crazy dude. What? One thing that's really cool to see is that there's so many different species of mushrooms that are growing on all the different logs and branches that fell onto the forest floor. All right, so I'm passing through this palmetto field on the way to the cypress pond that I know was recently burnt. And I know it might be obvious with the trees in the background, the burnt pines, but this entire field of palmettos behind me was entirely burnt down. You could see from side to side, and they've all grown back. They are doing just fine. And I absolutely love saw palmettos. They're such a cool plant, and these fields of them are just absolutely stunning. I will mention, if you do decide to explore a field of saw palmetto, they have their name for a reason. What's really interesting for me being back here at the cypress pond, which I know is hard to see, but it was entirely barren up until the very middle of the cypress pond where some vegetation remains. But at this point, with the drought being so severe, there's almost zero vegetation in the middle of the pond. I could still see a lot of the burn marks on the trees, and it's just is interesting reflecting that there were still deer in this area before, even with the fire just traveling through, because I mean there's still a little bit of water, but now with this area being completely bare because of the drought, there isn't actually any life. Mammals, that is. There's still plenty of vegetation, things like that. Cypresses seem to be doing really well. Palmetto trees seem to be doing well. It is a cool place to see. And the dog fennel, man, look at those guys. They have dried out completely compared to 6 months ago. All right, thanks for joining me on this hike today. Stay tuned for next time, where I'm going to be exploring some different cypress ponds and riverine ecosystems that have been impacted by a drought.